Welcome back to History in Motion, proudly brought to you by Midas. The Birkin 7 was launched at the 1983 Grand Prix of South Africa held at Kyalami. Its design was inspired by the Mark 7 Lotus that Colin Chapman sketched in 1957. The first shipments of S3 Roadsters were delivered directly to be sold at Lotus car dealerships around the world. More recently, a wider-bodied version of the S3 has been introduced to the range. It is approximately 4 inches wider and 3 inches longer. The cars can be purchased either as a turnkey option or a DIY kit that can be built by the owner. The final race to be run at the current Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit is the Liqui Moly 2-hour endurance, also hosting round 3 of the African Endurance Series. With a grid of over 50 cars, the action is sure to be thrilling. Melisha Labuskachny tells us more about Liqui Moly's involvement with the Endurance Series.
We're the title sponsor of the Enduro, but Liqui Moly as a brand is a lubricant brand. The Enduro is one of the events that you can really truly test the products that you're using inside the vehicles. So it's stunning for us because you can really put the oil, the brake fluid, the antifreeze, or whatever possible lubricant you have of ours in the car, you can really put it through its toughest tests. So it's always great for us to rather go to a series and to be able to put it through the test. And it is phenomenal. I mean, the amount of vehicles and the guys that are all part, I know it's the most amazing bunch of people all together. It's a totally different vibe that's always at the historics. And it's quite exciting to be part of it.
I'm feeling really excited, really ready. I can't wait to get going. We've spent a lot of time in the pits this weekend. We had engine out yesterday, so we didn't get a practice time, but we're starting 4th on the grid despite all that. So the team's really done a good effort and we can't wait to get this thing started.
I'm good, a little bit nervous. First time I've driven at Kyalami, so it's quite exciting to be at the front of the grid.
Anxious. I wish I could say I was confident and calm, but I'm not. I'm a bit anxious. I don't know the track all that well. It is the first time racing here, so I'm a bit anxious. But I think everything will be fine.
Yeah, let's go now. That's Chuck Venter from Lazarus Racing. And yeah, friend of mine. So he's going around for the first 20 minutes, and then I take over for 1 hour and 30 minutes afterwards.
The crowds line the pit wall and are ready for the action to begin. In pole position is the Juno of Francis Carruthers and Nick Adcock. Alongside them is Steve Humble and Johan Engelbrecht in their Juno. Jeff Gable and Derek van der Merwe are in the first of the Lotuses, and Peter Jenkins is the first of the Liqui Moly Endurance cars. Around the final bend, the field stream and onto the main straight, waiting for the lights to go off and racing to begin. The lights go out and the clock starts ticking down in this 2-hour race. The Carruthers Juno holds its position as they head into turn 1. Duncan Force has moved up into 2nd place. Steve Humble keeps the chasing pack at bay in 3rd. The baby blue Lotus with Derek van der Merwe at the wheel has moved ahead of David Jeremy's red and white Lotus. On board the Alfa Romeo GT 3.2 with Martin Buerta at the wheel, Peter Jenkins and David Jeremy go past him through turn 2. Battles begin to take shape all the way through this huge field of cars, with Toyota Corollas, VW Golfs, Lotuses, Escorts and more racing alongside each other. Carruthers, Force and Humble in the 3 Junos make their way through sunset. Thomas Reeb leads the Shelbys with Mike Verrier and the Wilsons behind him. Clive Wilmot in the Pilbeam is behind them. The Toyota Conquest of Waldo Swiegers and Kubis Moraes had a bit of a moment coming into turn 4. Down the mine shaft and Thomas Reeb is side by side with Francis Carruthers. Reeb has the inside line and moves ahead. Humble sees his chance and tries to follow Reeb through. He's not quite close enough yet. Up the hill to turn 13 they climb. Down the hill and Humble is applying the pressure to Carruthers, looking for a way past. Into the final turn, he takes the inside line and moves ahead. Up into Leocorp, and it's Clinton Thorne who is pushing hard in the Harper Type 5. Behind him, Tony Sharp in the TBR Alfa Romeo GT3 is fending off the MI Equipment Porsche 911 RSR of Stefan Pushavez. Tatoya in the Dream Ahead Advisory Services Porsche 996 GT3 Cup car follows the pair through Leocorp. Down the mine shaft and Pushavez makes his move on Sharp. Side by side they drop to the fastest corner on the circuit. Through the bowl and Sharp has the advantage. He manages to keep the Porsche behind him for now. Through turn 13, the train of cars follow as everyone gets settled into this long race. Not good news, the Alpha GT 3.2 is in the pits. The team frantically try to find the problem.
Just carry on, Red. Okay, carry on. Martin's complaining about running rough. We think it's a plug lead that might have vibrated loose or so on. We'll hear what he says now, but it's hopefully we've sorted it out.
Into the bowl comes Mike Verrier in the black chrome Shelby prototype, and round he goes all by himself. Mike Schmidt did mention that it is very slippery, that corner, and Verrier has demonstrated just how slippery it can be as he turns himself round and continues with his race. Coming through the S's, and Martin Boert and the Alpha is chasing hard after the Harper Type 5. Nose to tail, they make their way through the S's and start climbing up towards Leocorp. Thorne looks to his right and sees the Alpha go past as they enter the double left-hander. The Alpha seems to be running fine at the moment. Down the hill to turn 14 come a gaggle of cars. The Frankie's Toyota Corolla ahead of the pack with the Pushaver's Porsche and the Smith Cruiser Shelby in a great battle. Tim Clamp in his white Birkin 7 is behind Pushaver's Porsche. Coming out of turn 2, and two of the Lotuses have run wide and have done a bit of farming. It looks like Derek van der Merwe in the blue Lotus and Rod Schaefer in the black and yellow Lotus. This would have cost them a few positions, but hopefully no damage done and they can continue with this endurance race. Peter Jenkins in his yellow Chevron B19 running alongside the Alpha GT 3.2 with Martin Boert at the wheel. Smoke in the car! Something is definitely wrong with this car and Boert will have to pull over as visibility will not be great and there might be a fire. Onto the kitty litter Boert goes just after sunset, and that is really thick smoke. Boert is safely out the car and Marshall's in attendance. Coming down the hill, and the Toyota Conquest is back in the race after his early excursion. The VW Golf of Ehlers and Russell leads them through the turn, with Rowan Theron in the Porsche 910 chasing hard. In the pits is the Forbes Fendt ADR MCE3. It gets going and is off to rejoin the action.
Just a concern of oil pressure, but it seems fine. It's a glitch on the system, I think.
Also in the pits is the Motul Team Classic Motorsport Porsche 910 with Rowan Theron at the wheel. Everything is checked and he is sent back out onto the track.
It's just a wire come off the temperature sender, so gauge is reading full scale, so he was just nervous. We check it, it's fine.
Making its way back to the pits is the Alfa Romeo GT 3.2. The team will be anxious to have a look at it and find out what the problem is. In the pits, the Frankie's Toyota Corolla is having some problems as well, with Bruce Avon Taplin out of the car and having a look.
A bit unfortunate, he got the throttle stuck open in a really bad place at the bottom of the mine shaft. So he was going very quick, so lucky he didn't fall off the road. And we've just lost a bit of time, but now we're going to have to have a drive-through as well because the car wouldn't start. So, hey, long way to go still.
The Alfa is back in the pits and they have pulled it into the garage and they will try to figure out what went wrong.
The power steering pump is thing is they're going to see if they can quickly sort it out, and then I'll be out of there on the track again, hopefully.
Unfortunately, they weren't able to fix the problem. The Swigers Moray Conquest is having a bit of a moment in the S's. They get it going again and continues with the race, which has certainly been eventful for them. Climbing the hill to Leocorp, the Martins Ghazi Porsche GT3 has the McLaughlin de Klerk backdraft BDR speeding up the inside and passed him to the first left-hander, and they both passed the Conquest. Round Leocorp and down the mine shaft, and the dusk has arrived. A spin at turn 3 for David Jeremy. He doesn't lose much time though and gets it going and back on the track. The Porsche 910 has a spin across the track coming out of turn 13. Coming up to turn 3, and Mike Verrier in the Shelby and Clive Wilmot in the Pilbeam have come up on some slower traffic. They make their way safely past Jan Jacobs and the others and head onto the back straight. The Hendok Group Nissan 370Z is in the pits.
We're having fuel supply issues. We've had the whole day. We're not sure what it is. It's a continuous problem, and we're just going to run the car and see if we can finish the race.
The Chevron B19 of Peter Jenkins comes in for its pit stop. On the track, the Harper Type 5 passes Thomas Falconer in the Mercedes-Benz 280E on his way up to Liqui. Problem there with the Harper sports car, and Clinton Thorne pulls it over at the top of Liqui. That's a big disappointment for the team, and you can see that it's the suspension failure on the right front causing the retirement. Due to the position of the Harper car's retirement, the safety car is brought out and a lot of cars will be coming in for their mandatory pit stop. Derek van der Merwe brings in Jeff Gable's Birkin 7, and Gable will get in for the remainder of the race. John Glover comes in for his pit stop and a refuel as well, as does the red and white Birkin 7 of David Jeremy. The Team Africa Le Mans Pill beam is pushed into the garage.
It's the first time we've made it to the start line, so the fact that we actually have a pit stop is a result already for us. Trevor and Lee have done a fantastic job getting us to the start line, so it's really just about surviving. We're delighted to be competing at least. We've had a couple of gremlins, a couple of unnecessary stops, and of course now things are starting to change. Sunset's coming, it's getting a little bit more difficult out there, and a few guys have already had some offs.
The Harper Type 5 has moved to a safe position and racing will resume shortly. In the pits is the race leader Duncan Force, who will get out and hand over to brother Graham. In comes the second place machine of Francis Carruthers and Nick Adcock. On the track, the green flag is waved and racing gets underway again. The field are all tightly bunched up, and this should make for an interesting second half of the race. The LMP2 of Franco Di Matteo and Trevor Frost is powering its way through the field, trying to make up some positions on its nearest rivals. The Martins Ghazi Porsche GT3 leads the Reeb Grief Shelby through turn 3. Into turn 4, and the more powerful Shelby moves ahead, and the humble Engelbrecht Juno follows him through. The bright yellow Lotus of John Glover makes his way past as they head onto the back straight. The Porsche GT3 fights back though and manages to stay ahead of Glover for now. Nick Adcock jumps into the second place Juno and gets ready to start his stint. The lead Juno of the Force brothers heads out onto the track. Adcock is getting his belts tightened and will be in hot pursuit of Graham Force soon as he goes after the lead position. Topping up with fuel, and then he will be on his way, is the Plit Bezuidenhout Juno with Andre Bezuidenhout now at the wheel. The Frost and Matteo LMP2 is in for a refuel and driver change.
I mean, it's the first time in the car, and I mean, Trevor asked me to come and race with him just to see how it goes and set up a little bit, and I'll tell you, the car's got potential, and I think it's a little bit better than I can drive it, but it's the first time out, but I think it will be better next time.
On the track, and Thomas Reeb in the Shelby and Steve Humble in the Juno are running side by side through the bowl. Great racing between these two cars, and there's nothing in it as they climb up to turn 13. Round the bend, and Reeb leads Humble. Nose to tail through the final bend, and this is developing into a great battle. In the pits is the Smith Cruiser Shelby, driver change, and they're off again. Brendan Morrissey at the wheel of the Mercedes 280E makes his way onto the track for his first lap. The Schaefer Hewitt Lotus is heading back onto the track, pit stop complete. Jeff Gable is back in with his Lotus, possibly some problems there.
It's going fantastic. I have no clue where we are. It's really good out there, but it's busy. There's a lot of cars on the track, and it's getting a bit slippery. I think we have got no tires left on the back, so it's going to be fun for the next half hour.
The Dutoy Porsche 996 GT3 Cup car heads back into the action. Sean Grieve at the wheel of the number 12 Shelby heads through Liqui. Losing the back end, he spins out, and this may have something to do with the tyre wear Thomas Reeb mentioned. He manages to get himself going and makes his way back onto the track. Mark Louth gets himself into the driver's seat of the Shelby.
It was brilliant. I'm slowly getting used to the track. I told you at the beginning I was a bit nervous and a bit anxious. I still am, but I'm getting there. The car's brilliant. It's an amazing car, even though it's older technology, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just hope we've got enough fuel to last till the end now, and I hope we can maintain our position.
Sean Grieve has brought the Shelby in for a quick once-over after his off at Liqui.
Got a bit of a misfire here, a little bit of accident damage, but that hasn't affected the performance of the car.
Fix it quickly and get out again.
We're going to fix it and get right out there.
Cool.
Thanks very much.
Well, we broke the gear lever off in the car. Tried to get it to start, didn't want to start, so I ended up shorting out in the start and running it in fourth, and we're going to try and finish the race. We need the points. Just do it in fourth gear and see what we can get.
Round turn 13, and into the final bend comes the Mercedes-Benz with Morrissey at the wheel, followed by the Pushervez Porsche and the Glover Lotus. Onto the start-finish straight, and the Lotus makes his way past the Porsche and the Mercedes. as does Andre Bezuidenhout in the Juno. Stefan Pushavez is also past the Mercedes-Benz. The Juno leads John Glover through turn 1.
It's hard work, really busy, you know, a lot of cars, we're overtaking cars and cars overtaking us, but the car was really good for most of the stint. We might have a little bit too much brakes on the back, but we can't adjust it in that car, so Paul will look after it. He's a seasoned driver.
Paul off at the S's, possibly some problems with the rear brakes as mentioned. He gets the backdraft Racing Cobra going again and is back in the action.
It looks like we're overheating a little bit. It's been running just over hot, but it wasn't a problem until the pit stop. We're doing well. We got up to about 18th place already from 29, so we're happy.
Not so happy as Dean Fenter in the ADR, who has spun it on the way up to turn 13. The marshals push the car to safety, and that is his race over. Into the bowl comes race leader Nick Adcock in the Juno. He will just be ticking off the laps and minutes to the end of the race as he holds on to the lead narrowly ahead of Graham Force in his Juno. Graham Force is keeping it steady in second place, possibly trying to make up some ground on Adcock as the race draws closer to the end. Up into Leocorp comes the lead car, lights ablaze as the darkness sets in. One look at the leaderboard and you can see just how tight things are at the top, with less than 20 seconds separating the leaders after 2 hours of racing. The lights of Johannesburg twinkle in the background as the drivers complete the last few minutes of what has been a fantastic endurance race. Through the darkness, down the hill to the final bend comes the race leader Nick Adcock. The checkered flag will be waiting for him and his team on the pit wall cheer him over the line. Great racing there for the Junos, taking first, second and third position in the race. Confirmation of the results, and it's Adcock and Carruthers by 13.5 seconds from Duncan and Graham Force, with Humble and Engelbrecht in third. John Glover was the first Lotus over the line, and Peter Jenkins the first Liqui Moly Endurance car home. Into the pit lane comes the leaders and celebratory hugs for the teammates. Number 1 for Nick Adcock.
Who said endurance racing was boring? We were pushing there in the last hour, like qualifying laps, and it was tough out there, really tough. When it got dark, it was even harder. But look, we brought the car home. It's undamaged. We got the win.
Well done, yeah.
Absolutely superb result. What we deserve, quite frankly.
I was maybe a little bit disappointed, with my pace earlier on, but it's 2 hours, and I wanted to make sure that the car was still in one piece to hand over to Nick. But I think the strategy was good. It was a bit unfortunate for the Fosses to have that drive-through, which confused a little bit, well, made the final part a little bit more exciting. But anyway, it was a great day, and thank goodness the weather stayed all right. And the marshals were very good. I have to say, the marshalling was excellent, and it was really good fun.
We had a bit of misfortune. After about an hour and a half, the car got stuck in fourth gear. But I mean, the Chevron's such a beautiful car. I mean, I managed to finish the race an hour and a half in fourth gear, and I don't know where we finished overall in the African series, but at least we won the historic. Wonderful fun, man. So it's so nice when it goes into dark driving around this track. And I think it's quite a privilege to be the last guys to race here in this track format.
Yeah, it was wonderful. A good day all around. Tough race. 2 hours at Kyalami is really physical. I need to get into the gym and get myself a bit better shape for something like this. I actually like driving at night. It makes me concentrate better. You know, all the cars have got really good lights these days. I don't really mind the dark.
History in Motion is proudly brought to you by Midas Sport, Gumtree, Mitsubishi Electric and their associated sponsors. Join us for the next round of the Midas Historic Tour at Swartkorps on the 6th of June. Don't miss it.